What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Bet Online. The Blazers play a chaotic game in Charlotte. This team is absolute chaos. This game was absolute chaos. A game of runs. Saw your Portland Trailblazers down by 12 points in the third quarter against a bad Charlotte Hornets team, and then they come back and win this game by 10, 105-95. We'll have you covered with the Blazers Uprise post-game show once again. Before we get into coverage, let's thank our sponsor, BetOnline. You can use promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% rewards over on BetOnline. They have live contests and a bunch of cool stuff over there, so definitely check them out and get in on some NBA action. Put that NBA knowledge to use, maybe. Thank you to BetOnline for sponsoring this post-game stream. Eric, what the hell did we watch? This okay, first off, let me just say, I feel like this post-game show is going to be a test for us because breaking down this game is going to be extremely difficult because at times this game didn't even look like basketball.
I mean, I think the bottom line is happy to get out of Charlotte with a win. You give up or you commit 18 turnovers leading to 27 points for them, and then you give up 20 offensive rebounds. Just an insane amount. Those two things combined, 18 turnovers and 20 offensive rebounds, you're not going to win many games. And then we shot 14 of 25 from the free throw line. 56%, man. That's usually a recipe for disaster. We're lucky we were not playing a very good team tonight, because otherwise this would have been for sure a loss if we played like that.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know if Chris forgot to put in the percentages for field goal percentage, but here are the team stats. Since we're already just jumping straight into the ugly team stats from this game, 20 offensive rebounds. The Blazers really missed Jusuf Nurkic tonight. I'm going to touch upon that. Their interior defense was a bit of a struggle, and their rebounding on the defensive end was absolutely terrible. The Blazers haven't gotten thoroughly out-rebounded. And you look at the total rebounds, 45-42, that's fine. I look more at offensive rebounds. The offensive rebounding was terrible. Charlotte shot 9 more free throws, and they shot 16 more field goals than your Portland Trailblazers, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I have to go to ESPN. No, the free throw numbers aren't right. We got Chris back on graphics today, but from the free throw line, I don't know what these team stats are, but multiple team stats here are off. Eric, you muted yourself too. I didn't mute you.
I think he just put 1 instead of 2 for 14-25 instead of 14-15.
Yeah. Okay.
I think easy mistake, but yeah, it's the wrong.
Yeah. 14 for 25. Chris is a little bit rusty. He was feeling under the weather last game, so now he's feeling better. I'm happy he's feeling better. But the Blazers were 14 for 25 from the free throw line. Dame and Ant combined for 7 misses. They got out-rebounded by 12 in terms of offensive rebounding. And then, dude, the turnover number, 18. They started off this game not doing too bad of a job taking care of the ball. I think they had 5 halfway through the second quarter, but all 5 of the turnovers were like really bad, kind of weird turnovers, and then they just got sloppy as hell. Charlotte started the third quarter on a 19-2 run because of Blazer turnovers for the most part, and then they cleaned it up for a second. Dame took over and got the Blazers right back in the game. I mean, this was just a chaotic game of runs, and the Blazers ended up coming out up top. This isn't a game you can feel happy about, but I think this is a game you can feel relieved about.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, it is a sign of a good team, if you play like crap and you still get a victory. So I don't necessarily think that's not something you can necessarily, not hold your head up high about, because, like I said, normally those kind of, if you play like this, you won't get a victory. So, and especially missing 2 starters as well. Grant and Nurk didn't play in this one. So without those guys, other players had to play a bigger role. And players like Jabari Walker, he was absolutely terrible in the first half. I thought that was the worst half of basketball I've ever seen him play, including back in college. And he was like great in the second half. So like it was good to see certain players. Watford, I think he ended up with 4 turnovers in this game, so he had some moments where it was like, but then he made like several key plays down the stretch of this game. And like, so it's fun to watch guys like they're messing up, but they're also like making plays too. So it's fun to watch. And we did it with not very much help. Like Hart should have had a huge game. He was like 1 for something, or I think he scored at the end, so it ended up being like 2 for something. 2 for 9, 0 for 3 from 3. So he wasn't really contributing on the offensive end much either. So yeah, we did it with playing sloppy, turning the ball over, 6 turnovers from Dame, not shooting well. Ant had a terrible shooting night as well. And somehow come out of Charlotte with the victory. Man, they're so bad.
Yeah, so somebody said in chat, Tori, isn't it a good thing that they can have awful team stats and still win this game? Charlotte had about as bad of a shooting performance as you'll ever see an NBA team have. They had numerous high-quality threes in this game, Terry Rozier being one of them. But Terry Rozier is one of those guys, Eric, like, yes, he's an impressive scorer, but he'll have games where he'll get great looks and just be broke. And he was broke there down the stretch for Charlotte. He shoots 6 for 20 from the field. Kelly Oubre's another one of those guys. He's 5 for 19 from the field, 1 for 11 from 3. Remember Kelly Oubre absolutely crushing us last year?
Yeah.
If they had that Kelly Oubre shooting the ball, like the shots he got were probably the same as he did in that Charlotte game in Charlotte last year. He just didn't knock him down. So, yeah, the team stats, the Blazers did not play a good game and still won, but Charlotte missed a ton of high-quality threes. They also missed a ton of layups they should have finished, man. Like, Plumlee missed multiple. I know he was 7 for 10, but there was like 2 or 3 layups he had that I was shocked that he missed. And PJ Washington had a couple of layups on the inside. He was 3 for 12. He had a couple that were just kind of inexcusable misses. I mean, the Blazers are simply, in my opinion, lucky that Charlotte shot as poorly as they did. Yes, give the Blazers some credit, but 37% from the field, 25% from 3. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that's not just the Blazers. That's Charlotte really struggling. That's how they're able to have 20 offensive rebounds to our 8, and we still out-rebound them in total, is because they're missing so many damn shots. So, I also love, side note, that Chris can just update this graphic right when I point out he can automatically update it. So,
good job, Chris.
So we have it set up where he can fix it on the fly. It's beautiful.
Yeah, PJ Washington was 1 for 6 from 3. He's a good 3-point shooter, and I'm pretty sure all 6 of those were wide open. He just didn't make them.
Yeah. So I cannot feel good about this game whatsoever on Portland's end of things. Like, feel good about the win, right? If it was a loss, it would have been a horrible, horrible loss. So if you view it from that perspective, okay, I'm glad we're not raging and ranting right now and very upset. Like, oh, the good vibes are gone. We started off hot and then we lose this game. We're talking about we're 3-1 on the road trip. I said 3-3 on the road trip was successful. We're 3-1, right? And you didn't have Nurk, you didn't have Grant. Like, that definitely hurt us in this game. So, it's not something where I'm super upset, but the Blazers did not play well in this game whatsoever. They were sloppy, they didn't rebound, they didn't box out, they didn't make free throws, and sure, they finished around the rim, but they didn't shoot threes well. The only thing they did well in this game was finish around the rim. They had 50 points in the paint.
Yep, I mean, this was kind of a letdown game, even as a fan. You're like, oh man, Charlotte sucks. This should be a blowout, And then you see we're missing a couple of guys, but I think they still felt like they played like they were just going to walk in and win no matter what happened, and that actually turned out to be true. So it's hard to, maybe they just didn't have the best attitude about stomping on them early and not letting them feel like they could control this game. And they make a run at halftime, build a lead, and then come out just completely flat in the third quarter, which was inexplicable. But I mean, they messed around all night and still won easily. So it's hard to like blame them for having that attitude because it was correct. But it really felt like they got up for so many games so far this season because we played mostly opponents that are challenging and stuff like that. So this one and the Houston game are the only ones where we've been kind of like in the past, we kind of played down to the competition, and I think that's kind of what happened tonight. We just weren't locked in at all, and hopefully that picks right back up tomorrow night. But we had a lot of guys who were like probable and stuff for this game who were on the injury report and who ended up playing big minutes tonight. Damon Ant in particular. Ant was just on a minutes restriction last game. I think that got taken away pretty fast. So I'm kind of worried about the rotations tomorrow night, especially if Grant or Nurk misses the game.
Yeah. The Blazers can't play like this tomorrow. With the guys they were missing tonight, you kind of expect it, but the rebounding was frustrating me because, yes, I get it. People will say it's the NBA. Teams don't box out. But if you want to be a good team, if you want to win games, which obviously this team does, they've played hard, box out. It's easy. It's simple. Like, it's the whole thing that, teams, nobody boxes out in the NBA. I don't think that's true. Okay, I just think that's like kind of a BS excuse. But in the NBA, a lot of times you'll see teams have these games or these stretches where they just don't box out. And this was one of those games. And you're going up against a Charlotte team that's decently athletic and young, and they play hard. You got to be able to keep them off the glass. I mean, the Blazers win this game by 20, 25 points if they box out consistently in this game, right? So this was too much of a struggle, too much of a battle because they simply didn't box out. And in the end, it was like they had to give forth more effort. Boxing out doesn't take that much effort, man. And it's one of the simplest things to do. And it's what you got to do when you don't have Jusuf Nurkic down there to just gobble up every rebound, right? Eubanks is not the rebounder that Nurkic is. You could see a massive difference today. And then when you have Jeremy Grant wasn't out there tonight, but even if Jeremy Grant was out there, he's not going to help you much rebounding wise. Like, you can't just rely on Jusuf Nurkic to grab every board. So, Dame, Ant, Sharpe, it was a lot of the perimeter guys that would not box out. In terms of looking at the offensive rebounds for Charlotte, you had Mason Plumlee with 5, but you had PJ Washington with 4. Kelly Oubre had 4. Terry Rozier had 2. Dennis Smith Jr. 1. McDaniels 2. Thor 1. Richards 1. But that's the thing is, like, when you get beat off the dribble and the center rotates over, you got to try and box out his man, right? So it's just stuff like that. Every team has letdown games where the energy is off and they don't box out and they don't do this stuff. I'm glad it still ended up being a win. So, I'm not pissed off at it or anything, but just in terms of looking at this game, it was not a good game, and the lack of boxing out was really, really prevalent, and it just seemed like this team relies on Nurkic to grab rebounds, and he wasn't there today, so...
Well, that's exactly what happened, because we already know we play zone a lot, and the rotations have been something that's been a problem for years, but they're starting to do a better job of rotating, but with that becomes a lot of turnaround. You don't have anyone to box out. So that's when you have to seek someone out to get in front of and box out. And they're just not there yet, unfortunately. And we've gotten away with it because of Jusuf Nurkic. And he's one of the best defensive rebounders in the entire league. So we're fine in most cases when we have him down there. But like you said, when he's not there, they have to do a better job of boxing out. And they have to find a way, both if they're even in their man, if they're switching and rotating, and in the zone in particular, man, we just get killed on the offensive rebounds because no one is in position to box anyone out, and that's the frustrating part to me of playing a zone. Even if you get a stop, it doesn't always mean you get a stop because it leads to so many more opportunities for offensive rebounds.
Yep, absolutely. As Alphanor in chat says, film fodder. Yep, this is film fodder. I don't even know if they'll watch the film on this. They play tomorrow night, just got to box out tomorrow night against the Pelicans, right? Pelicans and the Mavericks is the last game. Got boxed out against the Pelicans. Gotta play harder. Hopefully Nurkic and Grant are back for that game. Let me think. A few donos. Shout out Michael V. $2 dono says, Wayne punked Lely Oubre. Warp is goated. Thank you, Michael V. Yes, exactly. Well said. Shout out to Oscar with the $2 donation. Says, if we win tomorrow, do we sit everyone for Dallas? No?
I hope not. I mean, we're not in a position where we can... I mean... I think tonight was a little bit of load management, maybe. I think if we're playing a good team, Grant and Nurk might have played. And for those that missed it, Nurk had an adductor something, which is like hip thigh muscle or something that was bothering him, and Grant was an ankle. That's why they didn't play. They were both probable, and then got switched to questionable earlier today, and then we're out. I'd be surprised if they didn't play tomorrow night, but we saw Ant miss a couple games with a random injury last week, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't think we're in a position where we can, especially having a day of resting between the New Orleans and Dallas games, I don't think we can afford to just sit everyone and call it a game and just roll over, because teams like Dallas, we could be fighting for seeding later in the season. We don't want to just give them a game. Yeah,
no, absolutely don't want to give them a game. Oscar says 4-2, boys. Come on, LOL. If we win tomorrow, 5-1 is even better though. Imagine going 5-1. Like, you don't give a. If it was against who's the worst team in the league, Eric?
Maybe Charlotte.
Yeah, maybe Charlotte right now. Looking at the standings, the worst team in the league right now is Houston. If it's against Houston, then okay, I understand it. But even the bad teams, like Houston doesn't feel like a 2-9 team to me. They have some talent on that roster, and Orlando's 3-9, but like they got Ben Carroll, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, good defensive guard. They've lost a lot of close games, so even like Orlando, Detroit, I wouldn't feel completely comfortable with, but it'd be more understandable. Not against a Western Conference rival that we're battling with for playoff positioning. I don't think that would be the best idea. I think you got to try and take care of business against Dallas, even if we win tomorrow, if a guy's hurt and needs it, then sure, okay, different conversation, but just resting guys for the sake of it, I don't think we're there yet. You'll have some other opportunities, and it's still early on in the season. You have some depth. Dame had some time off to recover. Ant missed a couple games and recovered. Watford just got back. Grant and Nurkic just rested. Like, who are you gonna rest? So these guys should be relatively fresh right now.
And I think if anything, they might have done this today. You know how we had like 8 people on the injury list?
Yeah.
Maybe they sat out 2 tonight, and they're going to sit out a different 2 tomorrow. They might do stuff like that, but just completely sitting everyone, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep. Shout out to Alphanor with the $10 dono. Thank you for that 10 spot. Alphanor says, glad I didn't actually watch. Would have been frustrating. Well, for those of you who didn't watch, that's why you got the post-game shows, that you don't have to get frustrated at all the sloppy mistakes. We get to get frustrated at all the sloppy mistakes, then tell you how we're frustrated.
Yeah, I described it as like a bad dream that you couldn't wake up from. It was like I facepalmed so many times my forehead started hurting because of all the stupid turnovers and man,
you concussed yourself by face palming.
Pretty much, yeah. That dumb pass that Dame threw he got double teamed on the bottom baseline or the bottom sideline, and you could see it coming a mile away. The defender just waiting for him to turn around and throw that rat pass to the guy standing by half court, and he threw it anyway, and it had no speed to it. We talked about this last game with the Ant cross course passes that weren't having enough speed on them with Jimmy Butler lurking. And it was just like, why are you throwing that pass, man? Like, what is going on? I mean, Dame is someone who hasn't really had a lot of or a high turnover percentage in his career. But this year, man, he's been super bad. his playmaking is. I mean, he had times where it was really good. Into quarters, he kicked out to open threes. At least 2 of the quarters. But like just losing the ball randomly and bad passes, just gotta stop, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a running thing this season, unfortunately, and we talk about it every game.
But that's like the frustrating part is like if they just like stop doing these random dumb turnovers that are easily able to like stop doing, like think how good they'd be. It's like
you basically just spoil the title of my next video when I finally get it out because
nice.
I've been putting it off. But yeah, okay, I'll just spoil the title of my next video for those of y'all watching the post-game show. The Blazers are contenders if they fix this one thing. You guys know what the one thing is. It's pretty obvious at this point, all right? Yes, that's not even clickbaity because that's basically what the video will be themed like. That's an accurate title. But yes, that's a very YouTuber-esque title. That's a good title, I think. But anyway, yeah, so that would be my analytical video because the turnover numbers are bad. But, you know, interesting to see the defensive rating after this. So tomorrow night, Zach, I think is the plan. What, Zach? Yeah, mods. Can you take care of this one mod who's going rogue right now? What the hell? What? Anyway, Jordan Baker with the $5 sticker says GG with the clapping hippo for the second game in a row. We can make this a running theme, Jordan. The GG sticker, that's your thing. Appreciate it. The $5 sticker. How many hippopotamus options do they have? Out of curiosity. I don't know. Somebody let me know. Shout out Michael Baldino, $5 donation. Says, as a relative OG, it's a trip to see 500 plus people in here. Keep up the great work. Turnovers are an issue. Like to see the effort guys are putting in to move the ball. Yeah, I mean, I like the way they're trying to play, but yeah, turnovers. Gotta clean up the turnovers and play the same way they do when they execute. Okay? It shouldn't be a situation where like, okay, we're not gonna turn over the ball because we're not gonna pass. I don't want to see that. But yeah, I do like the way they're trying to play offensively. It's tough to defend. Thank you, Michael, for the $5 dono. Yeah, it's also a trip to have 500 people in here. I think this is probably going to be the lowest amount of people we have after a win all season long because it was the Charlotte Hornets and it was sloppy. Absolutely sloppy. What's up, Kenji? I'm also up here in Vancouver. Shout out Rip City Brady, $2 donation. He says, everyone go buy God of War Ragnarok. Go Blazers. Brady is going to be more than $2 for that ad spot, all right? I'll send you my ad rates. You owe me like $100. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for the donation, Brady, and plugging God of War. All right, Eric. What do you want to touch on next? Or do you want to get into breakdowns? Or we could even get into player cards right now if you just wanted to start talking about players.
Yeah, let's do player cards, yeah.
All right. I got to upload them, but they should be ready. Chris has gotten more efficient. All right, let me. We can listen to your dog drink water.
Yeah.
He's been like running around and now he's thirsty.
She's like quiet all day, and then I go to stream and she's playing with all her chew toys and needs to go out and drinking water. I don't know what's up there.
Yeah. It's funny. Bad timing. Shout out Brian Tadovich, $5 dono, says, how did Sharpe play? And if you had to pick a player to compare him to, who'd it be? Well, we're jumping into player cards right now, so we'll get to Sharpe very quickly because he's near the front of this order. And then shout out Isaac Figueroa, $2 donation, says, next game, though, fire emoji, CJ versus Damian. I forgot. We're going to have to preview that game at the end of this one because I'm looking forward to that. Actually, you know how we're going to preview next game? Thank you, Isaac Figueroa, for giving me a perfect segue into this plug. Next game, we're going to preview over on our second channel, 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, over on Blazers Uprise Live. Link in the description box below. That's our second streaming channel. We stream Mondays and Thursdays, going live around 3:30 p.m. We do picks against the spread. Then we usually preview the next Blazer game. So we'll talk about Dame versus CJ right before tomorrow's game over on that second channel. All right, let's jump into player cards. Damian Lillard tonight, Eric. 8 for 16 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3, 4 for 8 from the free throw line, and 6 turnovers. I mean, the efficiency from the field and from 3 is good.
He just wanted to be 50% on everything, I guess.
Yeah. Almost had 50% turnovers, 50-50 turnovers and assists, too. Yeah, weird game, man. Weird game. I don't know if I've ever seen Dame miss 4 free throws in a game. I don't know what happened.
I think it tied the most he's ever had, like, one other time. Yeah.
Dude, like, imagine, like, you go up against, I don't know, Steph Curry, and he misses 4 free throws. How baffling that would be. Like, weird stuff has happened all season with this Blazer team, despite the win. So it's like, oh, Dame missed 4 free throws. That's weird, but it's not, like, it doesn't feel as crazy as it actually is statistically. Dame missing 4 free throws, going 4 for 8 from the free throw line, is such a statistical abnormality, if I said that word right. It is just absolutely insane.
And in the same game, Ant was 3 for 6. So those two combined, 7 of 14 from the free throw line. I guarantee you that doesn't happen again this season.
Anyway, I had to knock on the wood. Overall, he took over this game in the third quarter. When the Blazers were getting sloppy, they called a timeout when they were down 12, and Dame came out of that timeout like, okay, I'm going to take over this game. We're not going to keep turning the ball over because I'm going to do everything. And then he hit back-to-back threes, and then he got to the free throw line. I think he went 1 for 2. I'm just going to assume he went 1 for 2. But comes out of that timeout and scores at least 7 points in a row. And kind of got the Blazers rolling again back in this game. Of course, then he also had the pass to Jabari Walker for his first NBA 3, which tied the game up at 72. So during that stretch, Dame took over this game. And that's what you look for when the rest of the team is getting super sloppy. And Dame certainly had his mistakes as well. But when you're playing against a mediocre opponent like the Charlotte Hornets are right now, and you're a good team, when you have stretches like that where the other team goes on a run and you're struggling, you always look to your star player to help settle things down. And Damian Lillard was that guy today, helped settle this team down, get this team back to executing some half-court offense, and had a couple big buckets to stop the bleeding and to start a Blazer run of their own. The Blazers, the first part of the third quarter, were outscored 19-2, and then they finished on a 26-7 run. And Dame started that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they figured something out towards the end. They had a nice play where Hart came from across the court to the top of the key when Dame got double teamed, and Dame kind of waited for the double team to come and saw Hart coming, and then Hart got to the rim for I think he got an and one on it, or maybe just an easy lay-in. But they got to figure out a way to not, because this is the problem they had for years, especially in the playoffs, was whenever a team double team Dame, like what's your counter and what can you do to not let Damian get stuck in those and have to make a bad pass out of there that possibly gets stolen. So they're going to have to find a way to do that. I hope they started to figure it out at the end of this game, but that's definitely something they have to clean up if they want to succeed against good teams later in the season and into the playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. Your Dame was a dog tonight, Eric. Your dog is vibing with Dame because they're both dogs. Anyway, next slide we got Krish. This is Anthony Simons. Krish. This is Anthony Simons. Ignore the Shaedon Sharpe name. Anthony Simons tonight. This is his actual stat. Krish is a little rusty. But let me make sure this was Ant's actual stat line. 7 for 18, 2 for 9 from 3. Yeah, so this is Ant's actual stat line. Ignore that it says Shaedon Sharpe, all right? Anthony Simons, 19 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 7 for 18 from the field, and 2 for 9 from 3. 3 for 6 from the free throw line. Like you said, that's how I should have known. Didn't turn over the ball, though, and had 6 assists. Yeah, so, playmaking-wise, he was really good today. Really solid. Made the right play. Didn't shoot the ball super well, but, I mean, you're going to have games like that where you just don't shoot the ball super well. He got some solid looks. One of his 2 made threes was an and 1 3, step back where he got hit on the arm. So, that's kind of crazy considering a lot of open threes he missed. Shout out to Cascade DeSoul with a $2 donation. He says, Ant felt slow and low energy. That's unusual. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do feel like there were times where he looked like the foot was bothering him, especially when he came down after that drive and dunk late in the game. But I don't think that was why he was missing threes necessarily. But it was frustrating to have a couple times where they have a good set run and it results in a kick out to him near the top, wide open three, and he just wasn't making them. But yeah, maybe the foot had something to do with that. But I don't feel like it was low energy. I think it's just a lot of these guys are trying to play through nagging injuries. And like I said at the top of the show, he was supposed to be limited this week on minutes played and stuff, and I don't think they did it in the Heat game, and I don't think they certainly didn't do it tonight. So, yeah, I think there's just a lot of minutes to play when your foot's bothering you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was phenomenal last game, man. I want him to keep putting up 25-point games because I want him to be a 23, 24-point per game scorer while the Blazers are the number one seed in the West, and it's like, okay, well, how do you keep him out of the All-Star game? I want to be having those conversations in January. So this, didn't necessarily help the case statistically, but he wasn't really making plays for others to start the season. It looked like he was struggling in that role next to Dame, like picking his spots to score and when to facilitate. Just seemed like he didn't have a comfortable feel for it, but this game plays next to Dame, 6-0 turnovers. It's nice to see him passing the ball better because earlier this year he was struggling to not only make the right reads, but, pass with accuracy. So, good to see that.
Shout out to Krish for fixing it quickly once again. Thank you, Krish.
Look at Krish. Right before we changed too.
Yeah.
But
I felt like there was one part of this game where it was like 3 straight possessions where he just dribbled the whole possession pretty much. And
one of them he got a bucket on.
Yeah, he ended up getting a bucket. It was kind of like an awkward play, reverse lay-in. He kind of lost the ball and just happened to catch it near the basket and put it in. But yeah, those are the kind of possessions I think you want to avoid if you're Anthony, unless you're on fire and it's like heat check time like Dame does sometimes. But yeah, it's like those kind of possessions where when we're sharing the ball well and stuff like that, I don't think we need to do that kind of stuff where you just dribble out for the full 24 seconds and take a bad shot. So yeah, that I'd like to see stop unless you're hitting a bunch of shots. But obviously tonight he wasn't shooting well, so you don't need to do that. And then there was a play in the first half where he had missed a bunch of shots, and then he makes a lay-in, but he, at the last second, kind of fades away and throws it up off the glass, and it almost rimmed out and completely out, but it fell back in. And like he had a path to just go dunk it. So I was like, why isn't he just taking it strong to the hoop and dunking in those situations and then not leaving any doubt about it possibly rimming out? So I want him to do that. And then in the second half, he does that on that drive towards the end that I talked about where it looked like he landed kind of funny on his foot. But that was maybe it's just his foot doing that. But that's something that I've been waiting to see from Ant for a long time, is going and attacking the rim a little more. It was nice to see him have 2 dunks tonight.
Yeah. Let's move on. 2. Shaedon Sharpe, career high tonight, Eric.
Yep.
17 points, 7 for 10 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 6 for 6 inside the arc. He had a couple pull-up mid-range jumpers that looked good. It was nice to see him create a little bit off the dribble, even if it was just like dribbling into a mid-range. Still nice to see. But then just, dude, his athleticism makes him such a threat as a finisher in the paint. Almost in the same way like Ja Morant is phenomenal in the paint around the rim because of how athletic he is and how he can contort and finish over guys and around guys. And Sharpe, I mean, it's not necessarily the same way where he's doing it off the dribble yet, but I mean, he was phenomenal tonight. I think somebody said, let me double check this, but the Blazers end up winning by 10, but Sharpe is a plus 30 in 29 minutes, plus 30, which means the Blazers, in the 19 minutes he was off the floor, got outscored by 20. I didn't think I'd be saying that sentence at all this season, but that's just the way. And then Jabari Walker played 18 minutes, not to get ahead of ourselves, but he was a plus 22 in his 18 minutes.
Yeah.
The Blazers got outscored in the 30 minutes Jabari Walker was off the court. They got outscored by the Hornets by 12 points. So, the rookies stepping up. We'll talk about Jabari in a little bit, but Sharpe, phenomenal tonight. Defensively, I think, I don't know. I don't know if he was great, but he wasn't bad. And then just finishing around the rim, man. He's crazy. He's been efficient from 3 this year, but I think he was only shooting 49% from 2 going into this game. Yeah, that's going to be above 50% after this.
Yeah, they had that really nice play, the rookies, where Jabari caught a pass, attacked the closeout, and dumped to him for a dunk. Shaedon was the inbounder and kind of stayed in the dunker spot. That was a really nice play to see those two connect on a dunk. And then he had that crazy one where Watford throws him like a normal pass, and he somehow turned it into an alley-oop. I don't know how he has the athleticism to dunk that.
That pass, most people are catching that then trying to reverse lay-in. Like they're catching it, coming down with it, trying to reverse lay-in, maybe getting blocked, maybe missing, right? And he's just like, nah, I'm just going to dunk this even though I'm like catching it. I'm jumping and I'm catching it. I think he might have caught it below his waist.
He did.
Or like behind him. It was... I don't. Yeah, see, that's just
definitely down here. Yeah,
that's the game-changing athleticism I'm talking about. Where like most players in the league, that ends up being they're coming down with it and trying a reverse lane in traffic. Where for him, he's just dunking the ball.
Mm-hmm. And then he has the one where he got the technical, but he tried to end Plumlee's life and then couldn't quite get around him, but he still finished strong. But he hung forever. And then he had another one where they showed this on the Blazers broadcast. He jumps in the air, was looking to pass for like half his jump, didn't have anywhere to pass to, and then just like shoots it off the backboard at a funny angle and makes it. Like it just hangs for days, man.
He had a mid-range jumper where he like pulled up and it looked like he double clutched.
Yep.
But because he jumped so high, he still like shot it at the peak of his jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he had time to double clutch and still shoot it on the way up, it seemed like. So this dude can just do things with his athleticism that a lot of NBA players can't, man. And once he figures it out and improves his ball handling and like figures out how to attack off the dribble consistently and like run some pick and roll and facilitate a little better. You see all this. You see how good he looks finishing around the rim just off cuts. And being able to catch the ball on his way to the rim and then contort, rearrange. He had a really nice reverse lane against Phoenix one of the games, up and under. You see all this, and I can't help but imagine it with him beating a guy off the dribble. Like him being able to run off a pick and roll and do these sort of things. Like have the ball handling ability necessary to be able to do that. And if his first step gets a little bit better so that he can blow by guys a little bit more consistently, how is that not a star, Eric? How is that not a star?
Even if he can't blow by guys off the dribble, just the fact that he can jump so high, if he could just takes one dribble to the free throw line, pulls up, that's going to be tough to stop. And then even if you don't have the first step quickness, just the threat of being able to do that, then you kind of fake that or like act like you're about to pull up and then hesitate and go right to the basket. You can fool people that way. So I'm encouraged even if he doesn't end up with that quick first step. But yeah, if he ever adds that, like just any kind of moves off the dribble, look out, man. This guy's going to be special.
Yeah. He was averaging 8.6 points per game going into this game. Might be up around 10. Might be up around 10 after this game. But, at this point, he's making a case that he deserves more minutes than he's getting. And you got Gary Payton II coming back. It's going to be interesting to see who he takes minutes from. But Sharpe he had a bad game when he was starting. But tonight, 7 for 10. The last game, he only played 12 minutes against Miami, but he was 2 for 2, 1 for 1 from the three-point line. He was 6 for 12, 1 for 2 from the three-point line the game before that. And he was 4 for 8, 2 for 3 from the three-point line before that. So that's 4 games in a row where he shoots 50% or above from the field. Over the last 4 games, he's 4 for 10 from 3, which is 40%. On the season, he's up around 45%. I want to see him shooting more threes at times, so like pump fake and, then shoot a step back. He missed one of those today. He's crazy efficient. And if he's able to do a little bit more off the dribble and get downhill a little bit more, he should end up going to the free throw line a little bit more, because at some points that's the only way you can really stop him. That play he had over Mason Plumlee could have easily been called a foul, so I expect him to get more free throw attempts as the season goes on, and he figures out how to consistently get to the rim a little bit more often, whether it's off a cut or creating his own potentially when guys run him off the three-point line. Because at this point, I think he's a good enough shooter where you got to run him off the three-point line. But it's pick your poison, because it's poster or three-pointer.
I do want to talk about that. That's one thing that is bothering me with him, is there was at least twice today where he got kicked out to off a nice drive. I think they were both by Dame. And wide open, the first time he passes up a three to pass it to Sharpe with a few seconds on the shot clock. And it's like, dude, just shoot the ball if you're open. Like, Hart and Winslow and those kind of guys, like, they're not as good at three-point shooters as you potentially are right now. So just, if you're open, shoot it. And then the other time, it was that step-back one that you were talking about. So, like, he caught it, he's wide open, but he waits for the defender to get there so he can pump fake and then do a step-back. It's like, at some point, if he just shoots the ball on the catch, it's going to make the defense have to run out on him. And I think that's going to be the next evolution to what you're talking about, to where if they run out on him quickly, he can get by them easier, even without the quick first step. So I think it's game over once he learns to do that. But I don't like him passing up shots. I like the unselfishness at times, like passing to a teammate and stuff. But if you're open, man, you got to shoot it.
Yeah. When was the last time Portland had a player in the rookie-sophomore game during the All-Star break?
I think it's got to be going back to Dame, right?
CJ? No, CJ wasn't in it.
CJ didn't play his first year, really, because he had that foot injury. And
Chat, have the Blazers had a person in the rookie-sophomore game since Damian Lillard?
I mean, they didn't have...
Zach Collins? Was Zach Collins ever in it?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
He didn't play enough.
So this could be the first time in a decade the Blazers have somebody in the rookie-sophomore game. Because all the rookies don't come on the scene like this for the Portland Trail Blazers since Dame. It's said a couple years, and then they break out. CJ did that. Anthony Simons did that. It could be Sharpe's All-Star Weekend if he's also in the dunk contest.
Let's see him do all 5 events like Dame.
I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see him in the 3-point contest. I feel like he'd struggle. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Ant didn't play his whole first year until game 82. I mean, he played garbage time, but game 82 when he had the 37 points. Mm-hmm. And then the second year he played like he was a backup, but he didn't play that much. So, yeah.
Yep. So, phenomenal game from Sharpe. Oscar, $10 dono, says, so Dame is trying to instill confidence in everyone. The key play was he passed out to Jabari to end the third at the buzzer. Even though he missed it, Dame was clapping and was hyping him up. Love to see it. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Oscar, $10 donation. Yeah, that's the shot. That's the shot you will absolutely take in that situation. Jabari Walker's a good enough shooter. That's an open three. When they double to Dame, Jabari just hit one as well. Yeah, absolutely. Even if he misses it, you can be happy with that shot.
He did the same thing in the first half with Winslow, too. I know you're not happy about that.
Yeah, that's a little different story.
But, yeah, it is good. And Dame's the first one. You heard Josh Hart say it after his game winner last game. Dame just instills that confidence in you, like Oscar says, to where if he passes it to you, he's not passing to you if he doesn't want you to shoot, right? Like, if you're open, shoot the ball. If he passes it to you, he has confidence in you. So, love playing with people like that, and it's got to make his teammates feel good. when a superstar like that, who could basically force shots the entire game, is willing to give those shots up to a second round rookie who was the second to last pick in the draft. So really cool to see. And then, him telling him, dude, that was a good shot. Like, you're not going to make them all. No one shoots over 50% from three, let alone 100%, right? So you're going to miss some every once in a while. Don't get your head down. Make it next time, And I love that attitude.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move on to Eubanks. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists, 6 for 7 from the field, 2 for 4 from the free throw line. Yeah, he was pretty dang good today, other than he struggled to help the rebounding. Yes, he has 8 rebounds in 22 minutes. You could see a notable difference without Nurkic out there in terms of rebounding, but he blocked some shots, played good defense, finished around the rim. Solid game in his first start of the season.
Yeah. I thought he was okay. He gave up a bunch of baskets to Plumlee, but he made baskets at the beginning of this game, so it kind of canceled each other out with the, I don't know what you want to call it, the mid-off that Drew Eubanks and Plumlee were having at the beginning of this game. They both did fine. I mean, but he was definitely letting Plumlee score too much. But he had like a really nice block in this game on some good help defense. But overall, I mean, this is about as good as you could hope for from Eubanks. You don't like to see the 3 turnovers, because most of those were in the short roll where he caught it around the free throw line and just he had a guy wide open. But Watford did the same thing. I think he had 4 turnovers. So we really struggled with those passes. You gotta be smarter with how you're passing them, because we're just trying to throw it right through people, and it made no sense.
Throw a bounce pass.
Bounce pass or lob. Those are your 2 options. You got all these athletic players, right? If it's Winslow, probably a bounce pass, which he did do in the second half, and it resulted in a lay-in. If it's anyone else pretty much on the team, you just throw it up near the rim, and we saw with Sharpe, we see with other players, they can go get it and finish. So like, there's no need to throw a pass in traffic around waist high, because those are always going to get tipped. So just need to do a better job of that. But yeah,
and let me just say this too: interior passes need to be bounce passes most of the time, especially like if you're passing around the perimeter, it's a little different, being a chest pass and whatnot. But in traffic, when everybody's arms are here, don't throw the ball right here. Throw it down. Throw a bounce pass under it. Don't throw it right at their hands. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and also, I forget if he was on the receiving end. I think he was the one passing this one, but there was one where a pass got thrown, like it was a bounce pass, but it was directly at someone's feet, and it was a fast pass. It wasn't like a slow pass, and you can't catch those in traffic throwing at someone's feet. So the bounce pass has to be good enough to where it bounces up, so they're gathering it as they're going towards the rim, not near their feet or whatever. So yeah, we did such a terrible job of that tonight. Those passes around the free throw line and in the paint, we had so many of those picked off, and that was probably at least half of our turnovers tonight.
Yeah, we need to do interior passing drills in practice, like something like that, because our interior passing, we make the right reads and we have some really good moments, but some of the pass choices, like the type of pass, is just wrong. it's just bad. So bounce passes, I mean, are a lot harder to deflect with your hands, because you got to reach down, and if you throw a bounce pass hard enough, like, they're not going to have time to reach down to deflect the ball. So what, they're going to hit it with their foot? Okay, kick ball, fine, that's okay. Or you throw it in between their legs, if you want to get fancy with it, right? But yeah, learn how to bounce pass. But shout out to Mountain Drew for a good game. Just saw that one in chat. Mountain Drew. Caleb Pendergraph, I should have read off his dono on the last slide. It was perfect because it was timed correctly. My bad, Caleb. Caleb with the $2 donation says, Sharpe is challenging my understanding of physics. Yeah, that dude is playing by a different set of rules. I've said it, I'll say it again. Different set of rules athletically for that guy. Let's move on and talk about...
You kept it up.
If you're... If you guys are new to the channel, you don't get it. If you watched this last year, you absolutely get it. I don't even have any words. Tremendous is back. Krish is also back. This is the first game for Trendon with Krish being back on graphics. And yeah, we're picking up where we left off, man.
Why was there a Dunkin' Donuts thing? I forget.
This is amazing. This is like everything that was in it last year. Just like, wow. I'm actually in awe. This might be the first clip on our TikTok channel. So do you want to talk about Trendon's game, Eric? Because I just want to look at this graphic, and he had a solid game outside the turnovers. The turnovers were rough. Yeah, what'd you think of him?
Much like Eubanks, I feel like if you're a secondary player, you cannot turn the ball over that many times. But other than that, I thought he was really good. Took a charge, maybe even 2 charges. I can't remember. But yeah, he came in the fourth quarter and really changed the game with some of his decision making, his ability to handle the ball, keep Dame and Ant out of getting double teamed. And he probably should have had more assists if Ant and Dame, or Dame was making his threes, but if Ant in particular was making his threes tonight. I thought it was really solid game from Trendon. Just has to maybe rebound a little better. 2 rebounds from your center who plays 26 minutes. Probably need more than that from him, especially with how well Charlotte was offensive rebounding. But overall, second game, third game back, I forget which one, I'll take it out of Trendon.
Absolutely. Our plan in the future is to automate graphics. We might have to automate all the player cards except for Trendon's. But I'm not sure what else you could add. Oh my god, we might just have to roll with this. Like, beautiful. The laser eyes make sense. Because you see the fire beneath them, which we do for every player. He set it on fire, you know?
I think we need to start with new players in the jail, though.
New players in the jail? Yeah, absolutely. Who would be in the jail tonight?
I don't know. Probably Plumlee or something.
PJ Washington, yeah. 3 for 12. Why is Greg Brown up there still? Or wait, why was Greg Brown up there in the first place? With the crying, with the tears down his face. Because he stole Greg Brown's minutes? I'm trying to remember last season right now.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Because there was like, if you guys didn't watch last season, for our player cards, like, Krish every stream would basically add something random to the player card, and it generally made sense. Like there was some sort of like backstory behind it. So the money bags was when he got his contract extension, when he got paid, and then like all those players were behind jail bars, like when Trendon locked them down. It was like there is a story behind everything Krish added. So it was a running theme all last season. And then this year, obviously, Trendon hasn't played yet, so it's like, all right, we're going, we're just doing normal graphics. I hadn't even thought about this potentially happening, and this is how you know, like, I don't do these graphics when Krish helps me out, so I didn't see it until you guys saw it. That's hilarious. So we're keeping up with the lore. Might have to spice up Mountain Drew next game, Krish. See what you got. Maybe have him popping out of a Mountain Dew bottle or something. But I always love the humor. The humor. Thank you for the laugh, Krish. That's phenomenal. Anyway, I'm sad, but I have to go to the next player card, Eric.
Yes, you do.
Justise Winslow. What do you think? 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 5 from the field. 0 for 1 from 3. He's shooting his threes with a ton of arc, man. And it's not, it's just like a rainbow. 3 turnovers, 26 minutes. He was okay today. I wouldn't be mad if I never saw him shoot a 3 again. But he was okay.
Yeah, he had a couple of nice finishes. We tried to run the offense a little bit through him. I thought maybe this was like the first game I've ever felt this way, that we kind of did too much with like Dame off ball.
Yeah.
And so like at some point, I mean, it's better to in a game like this to do that and try to figure that out so it's more locked in later in the season. But when Dame's on fire and stuff, like just give him the ball. And he was just blowing by Book Knight, and we had a couple times where we'd come and set picks for him when Book Knight was on him, and Dame doesn't need that in certain situations. So yeah, I thought tonight in particular, like we didn't really need him that much, which is funny considering he started and we were missing so many players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really, outside of the turnovers, once again, that's third straight player that we've said that about. Outside of that, he wasn't like terrible tonight. It wasn't really good either.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't really have anything else left to say. We've got some interesting basketball games going on right now. 2 games in OT as we speak. OKC is beating Milwaukee right now, 123-121. And then Memphis is beating San Antonio, 123-122. I just put that game on my phone, so I'll update you guys as this ends.
Chad is saying Javon Carter has 34 and 12.
That is indeed true. They're without Giannis. Marjon Beauchamp is 19 and 6. I mean, that explains why they're down. But Beauchamp is looking good. And then they're playing Mamu Kelashvili, 6 minutes. Yeah, this is an interesting game. Spurs forced a turnover. It was Jeremy Sohan getting the dunk. So yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. We have a new graphic package for game scores that we'll introduce. But Josh Hart, 11 rebounds, 5 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3. He followed up his buzzer-beating heartbreaker with a very poor scoring night, very poor shooting night. He was more aggressive tonight, which was good to see, and didn't turn over the ball, which was good to see, and rebounded the ball well, which was good to see, just didn't make shots.
Yep. Yeah, we like to see him get a few more assists. 11 rebounds is nice. He had a really nice box out when it was still a close game on Plumlee, which was critical because no one else is really rebounding that well. I mean, for someone who shot terribly, he still impacts the game, so never really that upset with him. He did have, in the first half, he had all 3 of his fouls, and he asked to stay in the game. But he's got to do a little bit better job of not committing silly fouls at times. So hopefully he can correct that. He always has that like confounded look on his face, you know. And as Liam says, he took another hard fall, so hopefully he's okay. Got hit in the back of the head by a Trendon Watford shin.
Dude, he falls so hard, man.
Yeah, I think he fell pretty hard in the first half too. So yeah, I don't like to see that, but yeah, not a great shooting game, but at least he's still having an impact. Unlike players we've criticized in the past who, if they weren't scoring, had little to no impact on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Can live with this game from Josh Hart. Nassir Little, 15 minutes. I thought he'd get more minutes tonight, but his jumper looks good. Hit a mid-range jumper and hit a 3-point jumper in this game that accounted for 5 points. Also had 6 boards, an assist, and a block. I think he's been playing solid. I'm kind of baffled that he's not getting more minutes. Jabari Walker played more minutes than him tonight. I'm not complaining about Jabari Walker and the minutes he played necessarily. It's just Nas has looked solid. and his jumpers look good, and he's still getting limited minutes. And I'm wondering if it's a situation where he's ever going to see a minutes increase, especially with Gary Payton II coming back, or if he's just going to be basically, at this point, a fringe rotation player.
I think he's got our best three-point shooting percentage pretty easily, right, this year so far?
I can check what it was going into this game.
I mean,
Sharpe's up there,
But yeah, I really like Nas tonight. He did get blown by a few times off the dribble, but I mean, there's some players. Maybe Nurk is, but yeah.
Yeah. Still early.
Well, I guess they have about the same attempts. I just don't count Nurk because of the low attempts, but I guess Nas, you could say the same thing.
Nas is 12 for 26 on the season after this game. Yusuf Nurkic on the season is 6 for 11.
Okay, so Nurk has him by a little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought, other than the 2 times he got blown by on defense, which is still, I'm still like questioning why he all of a sudden turned into a bad on-ball defender.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Off-ball defense has been a lot better than it has been last year. It's still not great, but it's been better. So yeah, I'm surprised too. He's not playing more. I would have thought he played a lot more. He would have played a lot more tonight, but especially because the minutes he played were solid, I thought. But yeah.
Yeah. Nassir, I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, Vassell just missed a game-winning 3. Oh, that would have been hype. No, they were down 2, and he missed a sidestep 3. I wanted that to go, and it looked straight, too. It was like straight on line with the hoop and the camera. It looked straight. I thought it was good, and it was short. That's tough.
So yeah. Memphis won.
Memphis wins 124-122. Meanwhile, OKC's up 126-125 with 0.6 of a second remaining. My phone just doesn't even want to show that game. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I don't know whose ball it is, but yeah, some good action in the NBA today after being off yesterday. We'll look at scores in a second, then we'll hop into Brains Breakdown, then we'll look at standings and all that good stuff. Jabari Walker, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Solid game for the rookie. 2 for 3 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. That one turnover was pretty damn bad. Resulted in a fast break layup for the Hornets, but other than that, just solid. Didn't really hurt the team. Was a plus 22.
Yeah, I really liked some of his rebounds too. He had a really nice offensive rebound kick out to Dame, hit a 3. That nice pass to Shaedon Sharpe. But his first half, I was like, who is this guy? I've never seen him play this bad. And that pass, man, you throw it to the other team going towards the basket. You can't do that. And he's a way too smart of a player, too, to make those kind of mistakes. Hopefully that was just a momentary lapse of judgment or something, out-of-body experience, because I don't expect him to do those kind of things. But other than that, he has a knack of making the right plays. He also had a really great possession where he, on defense, where he got switched on, I think it was Rozier, stayed in front of him the whole time and made it so he didn't need any help and forced Rozier into a really tough shot, which he missed. So really, really nice second half, especially for Jabari.
Yep, agreed. Good to see him play well. You said you didn't recognize him. I mean, second to last pick of the draft, being a rookie, you expect him to make some mistakes, even though he's very solid.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know. He's not like a flashy player. He just like goes out there and does his role so well. You don't expect him to like make huge mistakes like that. So that's just why it was surprising. But yeah, he is still a rookie. We do have to remember that. He's only 19. He seems so much older than he is.
Yeah. SGA hits a go-ahead 3 with 1.2 seconds remaining. 1.2 seconds remaining. There was 0.6 remaining on the inbound, and Lou Dort fouled. Shooting foul on Brook Lopez. Brook misses the first free throw. I'm watching Gamecast right now. Absolutely insane.
You mean Lou
Dort fouled Brook Lopez. Okay. And I think Brook missed What is the Gamecast doesn't make sense. Now it says Bucks offensive team rebound still with 0.2 seconds left, which makes no sense. Is somebody watching this game in chat? Can they tell me what's going on? Because this Gamecast feed makes absolutely zero sense. How would they get an offensive team rebound on a free throw without any time going off the clock? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, SGA apparently hit a step back 3, down 2 with 1.2 left.
So they're down 1, and you just needed to make 1 of 2.
Yeah, so Milwaukee was down 1. They had like half a second remaining, and Brook Lopez got fouled on I assume a lob play, and missed the first free throw. And then now it says offensive team rebound, and Serge Ibaka's checking in. Yeah. So I don't understand at all.
Chat saying he made the second free throw.
Okay,
so
made the second.
Double overtime, it looks like. And people are saying if they miss a free throw or something, the app just counts it as an offensive rebound or some weird stuff.
Yeah, stupid ESPN. Okay, that makes sense. I was very, very confused. Very, very confused. Thank you, chat, for helping me out. Yeah, that's all the players we had to talk about today. You want to do breakdown and then scores, or scores then breakdown?
Whatever you want to do.
Let's do... What's up?
I was saying we could wait till some of these scores are a little more settled.
Yeah, I figured we go back and look at like the 3 games that are going on now afterwards. Let's just look at the scores now.
Sounds
and then we're doing things kind of out of order. But there's a lot of fun action around the NBA today. And this is our score slide. We need to have it say final instead of the start time because these games are all final. You want to start off with this one, Eric? With Magic and Mavericks?
Yeah, let me bring them back. I saw that, I watched a little bit at the beginning of this game. They had Banchero was out in addition to all the other players they always have out for Orlando. Yeah, it didn't matter. They beat Dallas with Luka Doncic.
Shut down Luka. 9 for 29.
9 for 29. And
finally had less than 30.
I saw several plays where Bol was guarding him and actually doing a pretty good job. Doncic was struggling with the length of Orlando's front court.
That might be the play, is to put up a guy like that, because Luka isn't going to really blow by him. Yeah. So just as long as he stays disciplined, a lot of Luka's shots on the interior, I don't know, I have to watch back the film, but hypothetically, Luka might struggle with that amount of length on him to get the stuff he does on the interior. I don't know, that might be the strategy.
And the Mavericks started Dwight Powell tonight. So 10th game into the season, they've already gone back on their word of starting JaVale McGee at center since that had not been going well. I think he started just ceremoniously last game and played 3 minutes, and then he didn't come back into the game at all. So it was they finally ended that charade. But yeah, just not a great night shooting for Dallas. 37.6% on the game, 26.2% from 3, and 63% from the free throw line.
That's a Charlotte Hornets-esque shooting performance.
Not good. And Orlando, they've been struggling to get wins. And you figure without Banchero tonight, that would have been even tougher. But they find a way to get it done, led by Franz Wagner, who had 22 points and 6 assists.
Yep. Blazers beat the Hornets. We've already talked about that game. That's what the stream is. The Nuggets beat the Pacers 122-119. The Pacers have been competitive so far this year, Eric. The Pacers now are 5-6, but almost took care of business against this Denver Nuggets team. 24 points and 6 assists for Jokic. 18 for Aaron Gordon. 17 for Michael Porter Jr., who's been shooting the ball well. 18 for Jamal Murray. 16 off the bench from Bones. And then 21 for Halliburton, 11 assists. My guy Andrew Nembhard's still starting, 8 points, 5 assists. Mathurin had 23 points in 13 minutes or something crazy. He finished with 30 points on 10 for 17 shooting, 6 for 9 from 3 in 25 minutes.
That's my guy.
Why isn't he playing more than 25 minutes when he's going off?
Know. They're like trying to hold him back or something. I don't know. They're saving him for when they need him.
They're trying to tank. He's averaging 19 points per game on the season. He's been really, really good. Their usage of him doesn't really make much sense to me. But anyway, what
did Jokic
have? 24 and 6, if I recall correctly. 24 and 6.
Yeah. The Jazz are 10 and 3. They played 2 more games than us, so they have 2 more wins. They go into Atlanta and beat the Hawks tonight. Frustrating if you want the Jazz to go away. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case anytime soon.
They're supposed to suck. They're not this good. They're frauds, man.
They score 40 points in the fourth quarter to win by 6. And they were led by Lauri Markkanen with 32 points and 8 rebounds. Shot
the 3-ball well, by the way, 6 for 8.
He's pretty clearly have to be the front runner for most improved player right now, I think.
The thing is, how much of it is him improving and how much of it is just, well, now I get to be the number 1 option. Apparently on a winning team, though.
I mean, he's had chances like that in the past. They had some injuries on Cleveland last year, and he did okay in the starting lineup with all the guys healthy, but wasn't really anything great without them. And then on Chicago, his last year or two, they had like nothing on that team, and he couldn't really do much. So, I mean, scoring 32 points. I don't know what he's averaging right now after tonight, but anytime you have that big of a jump to go to a number 1 option when you haven't been in the past, that's got to be one of the reasons why you were considered for most improved.
When the Blazers play the Jazz, honestly, I'm not that worried about Lauri Markkanen because I feel like that's the perfect guy for Jeremy Grant to guard.
Yeah, but we'll probably have him on Conley and or Clarkson. And...
No, I don't think Chauncey will do that. That would make absolutely zero sense. Their best player at the 4 and put Jeremy on the guard. That's the type of guy Jeremy Grant I feel like can guard. I don't know. I'm still not fully buying this Jazz team. I mean, Markkanen looks good, and you got still some players that know how to play there. But
yeah, 23 from Clarkson and 18 off the bench from Malik Beasley, 6 of 10 from 3. But yeah, I mean they keep getting it done. It's hard to not believe them if they keep winning. The Hawks had 22 and 9 from Trae Young, but he was 10 of 28 from the field. DeJounte Murray with 26 points on 11 of 20, 22 from DeAndre Hunter. A balanced scoring out of their starters. Only got 10 points from Justin Holiday off the bench and not much else. So yeah, they lose at home. Bad loss for them.
Yep, very bad loss for them. I'm not buying the Hawks. Not the Hawks. I'm not buying the Jazz. They're 10 and 3. I think they're a play-in team. I think they will end up in the play-in. You can clip this and remind me of it on April 10th. Okay. Maybe I'm drastically wrong and the Jazz are a 1 seed again, despite trying to be the 15 seed. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm baffled. The Celtics beat the Pistons 128-112, led by Jason Tatum, who had 31 points on 10 for 20 from the field. Sam Hauser, Eric. Sam Hauser, do you see what he did tonight?
No, totally.
24 points off the bench, 6 for 12 from 3, 9 for 15 from the field. For Sam Hauser, who played more minutes than Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White. Brogdon only played 14 minutes, had 9 points, 3 for 4. Derek White, 20. I know those guys are guards, but just very kind of baffled by Sam Hauser playing 32 minutes tonight and going off.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA's weird this year, dude. Like, none of it makes sense. Jaylen Brown had 30 points. Yeah, the NBA just doesn't... NBA's drunk this year. Just like this Blazer team with all their turnovers. Anyway. Knicks battle for the Big Apple, Eric.
Yeah, this one wasn't close. Brooklyn jumped out on them early and never really looked back. They win again without Kyrie. Um, Durant had 29 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists, triple-double from him. Royce O'Neal in this game was a plus 44, despite going 2 for 7 and having 6 points.
Dang, that's wild.
That's crazy. Yeah, Julius Randle had 24 for the Knicks, but he was a minus 29.
Yikes. Tough loss for the Knicks. So, the guy that I work with to do like the coding for the bottom ticker, it's kind of the same thing for this. And he was like, yeah, I don't know how OT will show up. We're just going to have to wait and see when there's an OT game.
Quarter 6.
Yeah, the Bucks and the Thunder are in the 6th quarter right now. 25 seconds remaining. Bucks up 132-128. The 6th quarter. The Raptors beat the Rockets 116-109. Led by, let me pull up this box score here. Fred VanVleet had a season high 32 points. He's back off injury. OG Anunoby had 27. Raptors, without Pascal Siakam, who's out for a couple of weeks at least, get the win over the Houston Rockets, 116-109. 21 for Jalen Green, 14, 6 rebounds, 5 assists off the bench from Tari Eason. He also had 5 steals, filling up the stat sheet, the rookie out of LSU. And then Jabari Smith, 4 for 11, had 15 points. Sengun, 17. We got our next opponent, Eric. The Pelicans.
Yeah, the Pelicans escaped Chicago with a victory tonight, but nice to see that they are also going to be on a back-to-back tomorrow and have to travel, not just sitting at home waiting for us. They got the win despite CJ going 3 of 13 and having 7 points. So good win for them with CJ struggling. Zion was 6 of 11, had 19. Brandon Ingram, 22. Jonas Valanciunas, 21 points, 13 rebounds. He's always pretty solid. For the Bulls, they were led by DeMar DeRozan, who had 33 points, and Zach LaVine had 23. Dragic, 14 off the bench. Vucevic, 18. Not much else other than those guys.
And then the final game that's gone final, as of now. Suns, Timberwolves. Suns win 129-117. Speaking of the NBA being drunk, the individual stat lines in this game made no sense, okay? Mikal Bridges, 12 for 20. He had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals. Being a shot creator as Chris Paul was out today.
Yeah, no, Chris Paul.
Campaign started in Chris Paul's place and had what would probably have been Chris Paul's best game all season. This campaign had 23 points and 8 assists on 8 for 17. Booker did his usual Devin Booker performance, 32 points, 10 assists, 12 for 23 shooting. But then Shaman off the bench, 16. But then when you get down to the Timberwolves, their leading scorer was Rudy Gobert, 8 for 11. Their second leading scorer was Jaden McDaniels, 24 points, 10 for 14 from the field. Their big three in terms of scores struggled. D'Angelo Russell, 6 for 14, had 20 points. There was a play he forgot to check in for, and the Timberwolves played 4 on 5. D'Lo has sucked all year. This game he was okay, but I mean that just kind of sums up D'Lo's season right there, just forgetting to check in to the. I mean, I haven't seen the clip. I just saw the headline for it. I'm looking forward to watching that clip, whatever the hell happened there. But
yeah, they subbed, and I think he thought he was subbing out or something, and they just played a possession with 4. They actually force a miss, but because there's only 4 players, they get a rebound, kick it out for a 3, and they hit it. But while D'Angelo Russell comes running into the game, yeah,
that's bad. But like Cat, 28 minutes, only shot 7 times, had 11 points. And then Anthony Edwards, 35 minutes, 4 for 12, 11 points. So, didn't really make sense statistically. Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels have great offensive nights. Your big three in terms of scorers don't do anything, and defensively, just a terrible night from Minnesota. So yeah, the NBA is drunk. The Thunder got this game within 2 and just lost a point, because of course they did, because the NBA is freaking drunk. All right? Don't know what happened. Probably a 3, and his foot was on the line, and they overturned it. But we'll see if we can make it to quarter number 7. Yeah, but we'll look back at the final 3 games because you also got a couple of games going on right now. You got the the Spurs and Grizzlies are final, 124-122. Do you want to go through that box score?
Sure. That one went into overtime. Jaw had 32 and Desmond Bane had 32. So good, solid. They combined for 11 assists. Bane 32, 6 and 6. Jaw 32, 5 and 5. So Desmond won up him with an assist and a rebound more in their 32-point performances. And for the Spurs, like you mentioned, Vassell missed a 3 at the end that would have won it. But he had 22 points. He's probably right up there behind Markkanen as one of the best or most improved players this year as well. And then Jakob Poeltl had 22 in the loss.
Meanwhile, you got two other games going on right now. Battle for LA. The Lakers were down 38-21. They are on a 20-10 run. Got this game within 7, 48-41. For the Clippers, Paul George already has 15 points in 14 minutes on 6 for 9. And for the Lakers, LeBron has 16 points on 6 for 7 shooting in 14 minutes. So it's a battle between LeBron and Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook is bricking. 1 for 8 in 9 minutes, 2 points. Russell Westbrook doing his Russell Westbrook impersonation. 8 points for Anthony Davis as well. The Lakers are 2-8. They lose this game. They're 2-9. And then you got the Kings beating the Cavs 59-50. So far in this game, De'Aaron Fox 11 points, Karis LeVert 10 for the Cavs. That is around the NBA. Now it's time for...
Did we miss any donos? I can't go up high enough to check.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
We are fine on donos. All right. So it's a black screen now. Let me load up. How many plays do you got for us?
3.
By the way, Eric. 3 plays for us. Let me load in play number 1. And we'll get this thing rolling. We'll look at what you have for us tonight. I assume it's probably going to showcase some sloppiness on either side of the floor.
Maybe. We'll see. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm good.
So this is one of the first plays of the game. They have the ball up top. We see that we're pretty well set up here. Everyone's guarding their man. Plumlee's going to hand off to Rozier in the second slide, and then Rozier is going to pass back to Plumlee, rolling around the free throw line. And Plumlee's going to catch the ball. And in the next slide, we see Eubanks recovers back to him nicely, gets in front of him. But notice where Josh Hart is on this third slide. He is a little bit overhelping. He's guarding Dennis Smith Jr., so maybe, you think he's not a good three-point shooter, but he has had some huge games this year, so you have to kind of respect him more than you have in the past. So I think in this situation right here, we're well set up. I think you just have to live with it if Plumlee can score on Eubanks and just respect that he gets back in time and contests the shot. If Plumlee makes it, you take it, I guess. If Plumlee's the scorer, but Plumlee's going to kick it out because Josh Hart's overhelping and give up a wide open 3 to Dennis Smith Jr., which he hits. I don't like the overhelp there. You're muted.
I am muted. You're right. If it's Nikola Jokic and you're helping onto him off of a poor shooter or somebody that doesn't shoot much, maybe a Bruce Brown, okay, I understand it. But not onto Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee is not a threat like that. But this is why teams overload one side of the floor and then roll away from it. If you see it, there's 3 defenders on the other side of the floor, but they're all behind where Drew Eubanks is, so it's really hard for them to come and help. The only help can come from where Josh Hart's at, but then it's just an easy kick-out pass for an open 3. So it puts you in a tough situation, but, Drew Eubanks is back there. You just live with it if he gets scored through. Sometimes you can't stop somebody every possession. That's why, every NBA game, Usually scores are in the 100 for a reason, so don't make a dumb mistake and give up an open three. Like, you can live with Plumlee hitting a contested layup.
Exactly. And yeah, Ant did a good job of getting over the pick. Eubanks does a fantastic job of hedging the pick and then recovering back there and getting between himself, between the basket and Plumlee. Just don't need the help in this situation. And this happened several times where we had players that stayed in front of their guy, didn't need help, and we overhelped anyway.
Yep. All right, let's jump into play number 2. Let me get loaded up here. Wow, it's loading. Let me think. Adono. Shout out to Thor Leighton. $5 donation. Says, mark my words, Markkanen is the MVP. JK, go Blazers. Thank you, Thor, for the $5 donation. Markkanen MVP. I think maybe you're drunk, just like the NBA, but thank you for donating.
I mean, if the Jazz are the 1 seed and he's averaging like 20-some points a game, maybe.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. People are probably betting that at like plus, 100,000 odds or whatever the odds are. I don't know.
Yeah, he would have been like in the other category. Like, they list like 30 players and then it's other. And it's like 100-1 for anyone else.
Yeah. So he's averaging 22 a game going into this game, which is worse than Ant. So now 32 tonight. Now it's probably right where Ant is.
10-3 though.
We're 8-3. Tougher schedule too. So we're the best team in the West. Screw the Jazz. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying, no, we're the best team in the West, not the Jazz. Like the theme of this show is the NBA is freaking wild this year. Play number 2.
All right, so we have another defensive possession. We have, once again, it's set up pretty well. Everyone's guarding the guy they're supposed to, except for maybe you don't really like to see Ant down there in PJ Washington. But other than that, I feel like we're set up pretty well. And then in the second slide, Rozier's going to try to drive. Eubanks is there for the help if he needs it, but he doesn't. So he recovers back to his guy. Good start to the possession so far. Rozier is going to take it back a couple dribbles. And at this point, Dame comes over to help, like he might need to switch on to him. But really good job between Dame and Hart here. Hart lets him know that he's fine, doesn't need the help. Dame in the next slide recovers back across to another guy, and they don't give up an open 3. So they're back to a situation where we're under 10 seconds left in the shot clock, and they're back to having it spaced really well, having everyone in good position. This is what you like to see. Good, like throughout the shot clock when they reset, being back to where you should be on defense. I thought they did a really good job on this possession. But then, unfortunately, Hart just gets beat off the dribble by Bouknight here. And something that he normally doesn't do is get beat this badly off the dribble. Bouknight gets the step on him, gets all the way to the basket. You can see down below, Eubanks isn't expecting Hart to get blown by. But look where Eubanks is right now, and then look at the next slide. Eubanks comes across. Great help defense, protecting the rim. One of the best jobs I've ever seen him do with this. Gets a block shot, and this is back when it was still second quarter, a close game still. So really nice help defense, and really good overall defense other than the blow-by, which is going to happen against other NBA players. But good to see the correct help defense there when it did happen.
Yeah, and Eubanks has been a pleasant surprise this season in terms of some of his rim protection moments. He's not doing it consistently. He's averaging 0.6 blocks per game in his 14 minutes, but he's had some impressive moments, especially during this road trip.
I think he just has like a monster block occasionally because his overall rim protection stats are pretty bad. But we definitely miss Nurk on our defense.
He's like the type of guy that can get a block, but he's not somebody that really makes players like alter and miss shots around the rim because of his rim protection.
Well, I think he gets the blocks because they don't think he's going to get there, But he's kind of sneaky jumping wise, like athletic. so he does get some of those blocks. But overall, his rim protection isn't great. But good to see him with the correct read there and good reaction time to get there.
Absolutely. And then play number 3. Let me load this up. All right.
Play number 3 is an offensive possession we had in the second half. We see that Justise Winslow is the primary ball handler, while Ant's going to play off, or Dame and Ant are both going to play off ball. And we see that the initial read is for Eubanks to set a down screen for Anthony Simons, who's going to come up. If he's open, obviously he'd shoot that. But Rozier, you can see, is already overplaying that. This might be a good time to set up like a go back door. But Ant comes up top, catches the ball. And now we're in a situation in this slide where we can do several things. We end up Eubanks coming to set a screen for Simons in the pick and roll. But Eubanks could then set a down screen for Dame here coming off that action. And that might create an open shot for Dame on the side. So a lot of options you can do here, but they go for the pick and roll with Dame and Ant. Before Eubanks even gets there, Plumlee goes to double team Anthony. Anthony does a nice job of finding Eubanks. Eubanks does a good job of getting in a spot where he can pass out of the double team between the two defenders. And Eubanks catches this ball. And now in this slide, we see Dame and Ant are not going to be open this possession. So it's up for the other 3 guys to get a basket against 2 defenders. And we have a situation in the past, or actually several times this season, where we've seen Winslow not cut in these situations, Hart not cut in these situations, even though that's something that they have been known for in the past. And in this particular case, they both cut. And Josh Hart in the next slide is actually wide open under the basket, but Eubanks had already thrown several of those, or tried to throw several of those passes that had gotten stolen. So he was a little gun shy to do that. And he ends up leaving a nice bounce pass, like we talked about earlier, to Winslow, who is cutting and gets by the defense for an easy basket. Winslow could have passed to Hart then for a layup too, or there's any number of things they could have done to score out of that situation, but nice to see 2 players that aren't necessarily the best 3-point shooters to both cut and result in an open lane in the end.
Yep.
And that's how you have to attack when our guards are getting double teamed.
Yeah, that's such a funny play to me, man. They both cut, but they're both open. Pick your layup. Yeah, I mean, this is where Nurkic is nice, though, because Nurkic is a little bit better throwing that ball up top to that baseline cutter, or getting the ball to that baseline cutter in general, where Eubanks, you don't have as much confidence in him. And when Dame gets this type of defensive attention, or Ant gets this type of defensive attention, where you have a double team up top and you hit that roll guy, having somebody that can make the right play out of that somewhat consistently is nice. Like, Nurkic just had some turnovers this year, but for the most part, in terms of his short roll game, which this is what this is from Eubanks, it's a short roll. He doesn't roll all the way to the rim. He stops and makes a play before that. Nurkic has been good, in my opinion. A lot of his turnovers are coming in other situations. This is a good pass from Eubanks to Justise, don't get me wrong. But this is definitely where it's nice to also have Nurkic, because I have more trust with him throwing lobs, or, if that's Shaedon Sharpe where Josh Hart is, that's the easiest play there.
Yeah, exactly.
So Watford struggled in these. Watford had 6 assists, 4 turnovers. He struggled in these moments, but then he also had some good plays in these moments, and it's probably just rust and getting back and used to the game speed. But this is where Watford could be really good. It's just, after he's back and comfortable and in a rhythm, how good is he going to be at his short rolls? Is he going to be able to consistently make the right play without turning the ball over like crazy? I don't expect that yet, and tonight that wasn't the case. He was inconsistent. That's what I'm looking for from Watford, because if teams are giving Dame and Ant a lot of attention and Nurkic gets in foul trouble, having that center that can consistently make this type of play is definitely a good thing to have. And Eubanks had a couple rough moments making plays out of short roll in this game, but this is an example of a good one. Hitting Justise Winslow.
And got to make teams pay if they're going to double team Ant or Dame. You can't just throw that lazy cross-court pass and let them get away with it. So I thought at times we did a good job of attacking it. Just got to do it every time.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, that is Brant's breakdown. Let's jump back to the scores, take an updated look at this. The Lakers have almost come all the way back. 54-52 Clippers up. Meanwhile, the Kings are up 69-58. We're trying to figure out the right section. It's at halftime for both of these games right now, and it's saying the start time, unfortunately. So we gotta figure that out. But in terms of the Bucks game, the Bucks win 136-132 over the OKC Thunder. Should have been a game winner for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Don't know what went wrong on that final possession with that Dort foul, but the Bucks end up squeaking out a win. Almost lost back-to-back games against the Hawks and Thunder. They take care of business, though. That is the updated scores, and then we'll take a look at the standings in a second. Questions for Eric. One question. Pick one good question.
Travis was talking about contracts. Yeah, Hart has, it's weird, it's a mutual option, so both the Blazers and Hart have, like, they can both accept it, or one of them can deny it, and that means he'd be a free agent after this year. I'm assuming if he starts all year and plays well, they'll probably opt out, and maybe they'll try to figure out a long-term contract for him, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting what happens there.
Yep. Emerson, I'm not answering that question because it was such a dumb statement by that guy that it's not even worth talking about because it's just ludicrous. All right, let's jump into around the NBA. We're not doing game scores because we have a new slide for that. We'll have a new slide for this in a second. Yeah, let's start with Western Conference standings. Utah, unfortunately, is up there at the top. Phoenix is now 8-3 after their win. Once we get this done automatically, it should automatically update after games are final. It's just tough doing it with Krish. That's why we're trying to code it right now. But Phoenix, Portland, Denver, all 8-3. Phoenix wins the tiebreaker because they are the division winner. Portland and Denver are not in first in their division because of Utah. If you look at this graphic,
so weird.
The top three teams are all from the same division.
Yep.
And one of the teams missing is Minnesota, who everybody expected to be maybe the division winner this year. Many people thought it was between them and Denver. Mm-hmm. But they're in third and fourth. So Portland, if Portland has the tiebreaker for the season with Phoenix, and then with Denver,
1-0 on Denver,
they're 1-0. So still 3 games left against them. But Memphis is also 8-4, so they're right there as well. They just won their game. Dallas 6-4. They got the tough loss today. I mean, is this standings picture becoming any clearer at all, Eric?
I mean, Oklahoma City's back now down to out of the play-in, so you figure they won't be there. I don't expect San Antonio to be up there all year. I figure them and Golden State will at least flop, but until Golden State starts playing better, I'm going to have a hard time believing that they're not at least a play-in team after winning the championship last year.
Which is weird, because you could have a play-in between them and, honestly, the LA Clippers, because Kawhi Leonard doesn't have a timetable for his return, and the Clippers without Kawhi are a playing caliber team. Mm-hmm. They are not. So it's like Golden State's struggling. Clippers don't have Kawhi. The battle for the top team, I mean, Phoenix is without Cam Johnson for a while. That would assumedly be the favorite, but dude, as I look at this, you absolutely cannot rule Portland out in terms of getting a 1 seed on the season if they continue to play like they've played and hopefully clean up some of the turnovers.
I mean, it's going to be tough with Denver, Phoenix, and Memphis, all good teams from the last couple of years, that they're going to be up there all year. So you got to outpace them.
We're 3-2 against them.
Yeah.
3-2 against them.
And then it's important. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we lose tomorrow night, considering how well we've done on this road trip so far, but getting a little separation from some teams that could be there later in the year, putting New Orleans down a couple games in the standings, keeping them down there in the play-in instead of closer to us would be nice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But we'll look at the Eastern Conference standings then. I'll kind of continue that thought. Milwaukee's now 10-1. Cleveland's 8-2. They're currently playing the Kings right now, and they're down double digits at half. Boston 8-3. Atlanta 7-4. This playoff picture makes more sense. Like, you assume Philadelphia, even without Harden, will play their way back in. You assume Miami, without Harden, will play their way back in. And you assume Brooklyn will at least get into the play-in. The question for me is who's going to be that other play-in team? Because the top 6 makes sense. Then you had Philly, Brooklyn, Miami, that's 9. And then the other play-in team at this point looks like it's going to be New York, Washington, or Indiana, which Indiana would be a shock. Washington, I guess, wouldn't be as much of a shock. They do have Bradley Beal, but they're a very mediocre team. And then New York, I think it's one of those 3 teams for the final play-in spot is how this is going to shape up.
Mm-hmm.
With Detroit, Orlando, Charlotte being out. And then 2 of New York, Washington, Indiana.
Yeah. Yep.
But you can't rule Orlando making a run. Like, they have enough talent. And Charlotte, when they get LaMelo Ball back, maybe Charlotte just cannot afford to. Charlotte has no sense of direction with their franchise right now. We played them tonight, so I feel like we can talk about them a little bit. They need a sense of direction. I mean, they almost made the playoffs last year, didn't, and then they draft Mark Williams with the 13th pick, and then they don't play him Mark Williams 15th. With the 15th pick. They traded the 13th pick, yeah, and then they don't play Mark Williams. They're stuck. I mean, if they keep tanking and losing games, I guess that's good. If you end up with like LaMelo and Wembanyama, obviously it's looking completely different. But it seems like they're staring a multi-year rebuild in the face right now.
Well, I mean, to be fair, LaMelo hasn't played yet this season, so that's their best player, and he's and the unfortunate Miles Bridges thing for them, if you're just looking at it from a team.
Yeah, I mean that hurts. That hurts for sure. It's just like, what do they do going forward to find some success? Like, LaMelo comes back and helps them win a few more games. Okay, well, they're not going to end up with a top pick in the draft then. Then what? They're going to draft another Mark Williams? I mean, how's that going to change their future? Like, how are they going to become more talented? They're not going to attract free agents. Like, they're stuck right now, I think. And the only way out of it is losing a ton of games. And LaMelo Ball coming back probably isn't going to help with that. So,
I don't know. If you add, Scoot or one of the Thompson twins to LaMelo, that could be really exciting with how athletic those guys are.
But that means you have to get like a top 5-6 pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're trending that way.
Yeah, but if LaMelo comes back and they're better than Detroit and Orlando, I don't know. Like that's basically my point though. Is they have to add one of those guys in the draft. Like they have to lose. They absolutely have to lose. Otherwise, they have to trade PJ Washington for a pick. Finally, they have to. They probably missed the boat on being able to get like a late first back for him. But trade him, see what you can get from McDaniels just as a cheap role-playing forward. See what you definitely can't get anything from Mason Plumlee. They don't even really have many assets that they can trade that will get a ton back. Maybe see what you can get for Terry Rozier, but given his contract and he's not, a starting caliber point guard, in my opinion, he's like a really good six-man.
He's been pretty good for them.
What good team would trade for him to start?
Maybe not start, but I could definitely see someone like the Suns needing him, especially if Chris Paul's going to be out a while.
Yeah. So like maybe you can get back the Suns' first round pick for him. You probably can't ask for much more than a late first round pick for Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
So, but in a late first round pick, early second for PJ Washington, and then see what you can get back for Kelly Oubre. But I mean, that's probably a late first, early second as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then what other pieces do they have left to even sell?
Not much, unless you find a way to. If you're not going to invest in playing Mark Williams, you might as well trade him, I guess, and get something for him.
Yeah, it's weird. So, I think, in my opinion, Eric, Charlotte is in the worst position roster-wise of any team in the league.
Oh, I think that's pretty clear. Outside of I mean, you can maybe argue the Lakers. Oh,
But they got LeBron and AD. I can't
yeah,
say, you know what I mean? Like,
I know,
even with how bad they are, you still have
it's
LeBron and
close,
AD.
Like, yeah.
Like, future-wise, that's a different debate than, like,
But-
in terms of just where their roster's at right now. Like, if
Can
they
you
just
believe
surrounded
that's
those
even
guys...
a conversation, though?
Because
They suck, though.
won't surround LeBron with shooters. Last year, it's like, oh well, they don't have enough shooting. They have all these old guys, but obviously they don't have enough shooting around LeBron, which has been the obvious blueprint. It's not hard. I feel like you can take any casual NBA fan, make him the GM of a LeBron-led team, and he can just look at previous years and like, well, LeBron can lead a bunch of garbage teams to the finals just as long as he has space to attack, and then when he collapses the defense, have shooters to kick out to. That is the obvious blueprint. Any armchair GM can see that. Apparently Rob Pelinka can't, because last year they didn't have enough shooting. It bit them in the ass. And then they're like, oh, well, let's get younger, but we're still not going to add shooting. And they still can't shoot.
Yeah.
And they completely overlooked fit and cohesion with the Russell Westbrook trade. And then it's like they won't trade their future picks to help out now, but they won't. You know, like, are they going to trade AD then? And build for the future? And is LeBron going to want us? Like, it's so intriguing because it's such a train wreck. But still, at least they got LeBron and AD, man. I mean, Charlotte, what do they got other than LaMelo?
Yeah. But, I mean, they're performing about the same. And, yeah, it's worse for Lakers, in my opinion, because they don't have any of their own picks coming up. Especially if they panic trade and give up their 2027 and 2029 picks.
Yep, absolutely. Let's look at the next 5 games for the Blazers. 2 games left on the 6-game road trip. Already 3-1, already a success, but let's push it to a winning road trip. 4-2, I would absolutely take that. Split the next 2 games at least. I can't rule out the Blazers winning both the next 2 games, though. We'll see. It's going to be hard if they keep turning over the ball like this. But then they have a 3-game homestand. You finally get to see your Blazers back in Moda Center. We saw them last in Moda Center against the Memphis Grizzlies on November 2nd. The last game before that was October 28th. So from October 28th to November 15th, only 1 home game. And then they go out on a 4-game road trip after that on the East Coast. They got the Bucks, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Cavs, I think, are the 4 teams they play after this. But a homestand, San Antonio Spurs, Gary Payton II, we'll see if he's back for that game. Then you got Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. We'll see if... is Kyrie possibly back for that game?
Something weird happened with Kyrie today. He was supposed to meet with the owner and backed out or no-showed or something. And
Yikes.
Yeah, this isn't public yet information, I guess. But yeah, I guess he said he didn't have legal representation or able to come to the meeting or something, and that's why he backed out. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. He had a meeting with Commissioner Adam Silver yesterday that I think went well. But I mean, you never know with Kyrie what he's going to do next, or if he's going to give in to their demands, or if he's going to push it back against the owner again, or I don't know, man.
Yeah. We'll see if Kyrie's back for that game, but then after that, we get to see if the Utah Jazz are for real, I guess. That might be a game for first in the West.
Yep. And we should have that November 15th game is the one that Gary Payton II is targeting being back, so it'll be nice to have him to go up against, especially, I mean, obviously he wouldn't guard Durant a lot, but having more defenders for that game will help a lot.
Yep. 3-2 is the minimum goal. I want to see this team go 4-1 in this stretch, though. If we're 8-3, go 4-1 over this stretch. You got 3 home games against teams that, I mean, you're supposedly better than. I mean, the Jazz are playing out of their minds, but you're at home, okay? And then you got 2 road games against solid Western Conference teams, but the Blazers are, 5-1 on the road, or 4? 5-1 on the road right now. So, I mean, even if they split these next 2 games, win the home games, or if you win the next 2 games, you only have to win 2 of the home games. So 4-1 is an optimistic goal, but I'll absolutely put that out there. I mean, 3-2 puts them at 11-5. I'll take 11-5. 12-4 would be amazing.
Yep.
So that is the next 5 games. Anyway, Eric, anything else for this post-game stream?
I think we said we talk about something during the Sharpe slide that we didn't. Do you have any like comparisons to him?
Oh, like player comparisons?
Yeah, like who does it remind you of?
People say Brandon Roy. I don't agree with Brandon Roy.
Yeah, it doesn't have the craftiness that Roy had, but
the shiftiness, and he's much more athletic.
He's several years younger than Roy.
I mean, you'd have to go back to maybe Vince Carter, I've heard, but I didn't watch a lot of prime Vince Carter because I was young. In terms of today's NBA, there's really no good comparison for him.
Yeah, offensively, outside of the dunks and stuff, the athleticism, he does remind me a lot of early Paul George. But
Paul George is so much bigger.
No, I know, but I mean, just like his mannerisms and his pull-up jumper looks very similar. His three-point shot looks similar. But Paul George obviously developed a lot of playmaking and was a very good defender, or is a very good defender. So, yeah, it's tough to compare him to many people, just that raw athleticism.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry I don't have a great comparison for him, but yeah. And then we'll be live tomorrow with 2 streams, one on the second channel, Blazers Uprise Live. Go subscribe, link in description box below, and then a post-game stream over on the main channel, right here on the main channel.
It's weird because so KJD says Zach LaVine. Like Zach LaVine is an example. I put Tracy McGrady in this. Like a lot of those like super young athletic players, the game is just like they're always going too fast on the court, and they're always like just speed, like all over the place. I felt like LaVine was like that earlier in his career. He just didn't know when to slow it down. And Sharpe's like almost the exact opposite. It's like, no, you can do even more than you're doing. Like he always like kind of seems like he's kind of sleepy out there, or like kind of nonchalant, or it's like easy for him or something. And so he's not, it doesn't seem like he's going 100% all the time, which is scary if he ever does look like it. But, and I'm not saying he's like not playing hard. That's not my point. I'm just saying like it's so effortless for him. It doesn't seem like he's even trying very hard. And so like it's hard for me to compare him to a lot of those super athletic dunkers of the past, because those guys just like were crazy out of control a lot. And Shaedon seems very calm on the court.
Yeah. Demeanor wise, very stoic. I don't know, kind of reminds me of Young Dame, who's like very kind of like mild-mannered. Mm-hmm. Same with Ant. But yeah, I don't know. There's not really a comparison for him. I don't even feel the need to try and compare him. He's his own guy, you know. Someday maybe people will compare players to Shaedon Sharpe. We'll see. That's the hope, at least. Jeffrey, no, I think we should be good. I mean, always down for more help, though. So reach out to me on Discord or Twitter. Twitter links are in the description box below. Discord link is in the description box below. We're overhauling our Discord right now. We're redesigning it, reimagining it. Shout out to Grant for helping me out with that. He's really good with Discord. So we're going to try and up the Discord experience. So definitely join our Discord if you haven't already. In my opinion, Twitter's kind of going to crap right now. So if you interact with us a lot on Twitter, definitely join our Discord, because I might just be interacting more in there with kind of the way that Twitter is going right now, unfortunately. So check out that link.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Twitter was so annoying today.
So dumb. I don't even want to get into it, but it's so dumb. So anyway,
it's gonna ruin like what's cool about our streams on like trade deadline day and stuff, for those of you who haven't seen it. We have the feeds of Shams and Chris Haynes and Woj on here, so you can't get fooled if you're just watching the stream, because we only show their feeds. But man, with all these people being able to fake it now, it's going to be trade deadline is going to be so much worse than it already was with like fake Woj accounts and Shams accounts and all that kind of stuff that have the blue check mark now. So
yeah, it's just sad, man, because I was like, man, maybe one day I can get verified from doing what I do with the channel, and it was like a long-term goal for me. And that is absolutely
look like you just paid for it.
That is absolutely out the window. So
yeah.
Thanks to Elon for that.
Well, and don't be lame and do that if you're watching this.
Yeah. I mean, look at the ads, sure, but I mean, with other people, like there's a couple music artists that I had to check and make sure they were actually who they were because I didn't know their usernames off the top of my head, and I had to take the time to go to their page, then click on the check mark, then read if it was like because they had Twitter Blue or because of them being who they said they were. So it's very frustrating. I am not happy right now. So join our Discord. Twitter's going down the drain. And I don't think this is a smart financial long-term decision for Twitter either. Advertisers have left. And now, I mean, at some point it's going to be a situation where nobody's going to want to pay for the check mark because all these random people are paying for the check mark and it no longer means anything at all. Right now, sure, people just want to see that check mark next to their name. In the future, it's not going to mean anything at all to anyone.
Well, they're headed towards basically anyone without paying for it being shut out of Twitter, basically, and not
which is a failing business strategy.
Yeah, probably.
Absolute, Twitter will go the way of MySpace if that's true, Eric.
Yeah, probably.
Discord, you know what Discord needs to do? Discord needs to take this opportunity to create like profiles kind of designed the same way Twitter has, where you can post media, post tweets, but call them something else, and then be able to follow different people's Discord profiles just like you'd follow a Twitter profile, and then have like a Discord feed of who you follow, and where you can like people's posts. Basically just create what Twitter had, but just on Discord, because you already have a bunch of cool stuff that Twitter never took the time to add, right? You have, you can join voice chats, in those voice chats, you can share your screen, you can have different communities, like set different roles in communities. You can do so much more from a community aspect on Discord than you ever could on Twitter. Twitter's going down the drain. Discord should take this chance to up their game, fill the void. In the future, maybe that can be the place.
That's the most disappointing thing to me if Twitter ever does have that happen, is because it's such like an easy way to just get news as it happens live, and you just log in and you scroll a little bit down in your Twitter feed and you can find out like what the latest thing that just happened and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be disappointing if that goes away and that access to news. You have to go to sites and wait for ESPN to post the article on it or whatever. Like, it's just cool to see reporters reporting in real time and stuff. So yeah.
Yep. S. Shep says, why the frick are we talking about social media? Talk about basketball. We've been talking about basketball for 2 hours. If that's not enough for you,
and it
figure it out, man.
It also affects how this channel is viewed and how we get our platform out there and stuff like that. So it is relevant to, we're not just going off on a tangent about something that doesn't apply to us at all.
Yeah, you troll, man. Talk about that. See, like, that's the type of person who will come in here and tell me what I need to talk about, and then I'll give them crap for it, and then they'll be like, he's being so mean to me. Like, man, don't tell me what to talk about, okay? Don't tell me what to talk about. That's rude. All right? Why the frick are we talking about social media, talking about basketball? That's rude. All right? So, yeah, I'll give the same rude energy. We've been streaming for 2 hours, Shep. You're just tuning in. The game ended 2 hours ago. Did you think the game just ended now? I don't understand. Like, the game ended we go live right after every game. The game ended 2 hours ago, so of course we've been talking about the game for 2 hours. 2 hours.
It's all good.
Yeah, but you tell me what to talk about, I will roast you, all right? I will roast you. That's just the way it goes. Sorry, Reddit. Anyway, anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for tuning in. It's always kind of fun to have an earlier game where it's before 9 o'clock by the time the show's over. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a good night. And I'll miss you guys for the pregame show tomorrow, maybe the postgame show, but tune in to watch Tori do his thing.
Yeah. I forgot I'm soloing it tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, hopefully the Blazers get a win. And, especially if I'm doing a solo post-game stream. Hopefully it's not a loss, because those are impossible. Or if it's a loss, hopefully I have, enough material to rant for an hour straight, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the goal. But, no, a win is a goal or a loss that I can rant about. All right? No, buzzer beater. We played well, but dang, that hurt. CJ got his revenge. Hopefully nothing like that.
Yeah, man, we buzzer beat other teams. They don't do it to us.
Exactly. We got to keep that up. Anyway, the Blazers are 8-3. I love it. 8-3. Best start to a season in this channel's history. Hopefully they can keep it up. We're going to have, we're going to have some fun post-game streams in the next couple of weeks. Gary Payton 2 hopefully making his debut. Hopefully some more wins. We see just how for real this team is in the next couple of weeks. I think if they keep this up and winning games like this, and come out in November, multiple games above 500, then you're looking at potentially a season with not only home court advantage, but a season in which the Blazers could truly battle for the 1 seed in a trade deadline, which could be extremely interesting if you're talking about, wow, the Blazers have basically almost clinched the playoffs. We'll talk more about the trade deadline when we get there because, the more games the Blazers win now, the more comfortable they'll be on protecting their pick that they owe next year to Chicago and being able to trade future first for something else. We'll see. But it's just going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. It's played out almost to perfection so far this season. Anyway, we'll catch you guys tomorrow with 2 streams, one on the second channel, one right here on the main channel, and hopefully you can join us for that. With that being said, we're out of here. This has been the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Bet Online. Once again, use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% rewards. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.